Hey everyone, and welcome to 1.21 Gigawatts. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we talk about movies on this show. And in this episode, we are talking about Reign of the Supermen, which is the sequel to last year's Death of Superman. It is the natural conclusion. It's, a DC animated movie, just like they've been doing for the last 12, 13 years now at this point, which is weird. They've been going on that long. In fact, the first one they ever did was Superman Doomsday, which was an adaptation of Death of Superman. So, as much as I rolled my eyes when they announced they were doing that, that movie ended up being really good. Death of Superman is one of the best animated movies they've ever done.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
here we are. So, we'll start spoiler free, as we always do. We'll give you a warning before we go into spoilers in the middle, and that's what we're going to do. So,
Yeah. Should we get the big thing out of the way first?
what's the big thing out of the way?
It's not as good as Death of Superman.
It's not as good, no. It is definitely weaker than the first one. It's not written by Peter J. Tomasi, which I imagine is probably got something to do with that. That said, though, I still thought it was good.
I agree. It's still pretty good.
Yeah.
But it's not this was actually kind of great that the last one was.
Yeah, this was still enjoyable. It's still, I think, because it had the almost the holdover heart of the first one. Because what I liked about this is that Lois was the protagonist. That Lois was the one kind of driving the story. And we have the various replacement Supermen. We've got the Eradicator, we got Cyborg Superman, we got Superboy, and we got Steel, and they're all there. And I thought they were all done relatively well. And I thought they did a good job of not having Superman be around for a long time. We're not in spoilers. I don't think it's really much of a spoiler to say that Superman eventually comes back because that's just a story.
It is, yeah. I think it could have treated the Superman a little bit more evenly. Especially, I feel like the Eradicator really got the shift, like just shafted.
Yeah, he definitely gets the least amount. It definitely picks and chooses a little bit. Perhaps having to squeeze in so much story into 90 minutes. I still mostly enjoyed it though.
I did too.
I like what it did with a lot of the elements. And I thought each of the versions of the Supermen were pretty enjoyable.
Very distinct. The action with each of them was different and looked great.
Yeah, you got Steel's got his hammer with the rockets on it. Eradicator's using his beams and whatever else. Cyborg Superman's basically just a cyborg Superman, literally. So he has more.
Yeah,
of that.
but you got some robot tentacle stuff going on.
Yeah. Well, eventually, yeah, when it goes a bit more sort of Act 3-esque, yeah. And Superboy, has the fight and the punching, but not so much the other stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, things kind of separate them out a little bit. It's still got the heart with Lois, which I like. Same with her and the Kents, especially kind of early on. It was it's hurting a little bit. It's hurting a little bit inside. It definitely isn't good as the first one though. The first one was really shockingly good, where there was so much emotion what was happening and everything that built up. It's almost in many ways the opposite of the comic, and I feel like in the comic, and I've never actually got around to reading all of the Reign of the Superman stuff in the comic, but what I have read certainly implies that everything that came after the death was actually better than the death itself. The death itself was a really simple, just punching until he dies. And then
it's just the setup.
The interesting stuff comes after. I feel like now in the animated movies, the Death of Superman is the great movie, and then this is a pretty solid follow up that continues the story.
It's nothing to be disappointed about. It's still pretty good. It's enjoyable. Action looks great.
It's still one of the better animated movies I've done, I think.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Especially in recent years.
Yeah. I will say when Superman does come back, again, I don't think that's a spoiler. He was always going to come back. I will say I like that the collar's gone on the suit.
Yeah, yeah.
Now,
can we find an excuse to get rid of it from Wonder Woman, please?
Yeah, Wonder Woman's outfit is horrible in this. I don't know what's going on.
And it's frustrating because Wonder Woman is such a good character in this movie.
Yeah, she is. She's great in this movie. Joe, it's funny. It almost feels that they've used this kind of like Superman Reborn in the comics recently to change the suit. I was like, okay, the suit's been fixed.
They threw that line in there, didn't they? Superman Reborn.
They did. Which is funny because that's why I didn't know it wasn't Tomasi until the end credits, so I assumed it was still Tomasi, and I thought, oh, that was a little joke from him.
Self-referential.
But it wasn't. It was the same actually at one point because we'll just say Darkseid is mentioned at one point. And at one point, Superman says, "Darkseid is," and he's cut
and then
off.
it just stops. Yeah.
But he's cut off by someone else, and I started laughing because I thought, "Oh, that's a really good joke."
Someone still did that intentionally.
Oh, that
There's
was
no way that was an accident.
That was intentional. It definitely was intentional.
Because I properly laughed at that.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a good. There was a good beats like that. And I also appreciated that it had a different type of plot than I feel like most of these animated movies do, because it was cutting around a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And it never felt like it got too overstuffed with that. It felt like it still felt very focused. I felt like it knew what it was doing.
Yeah, like I said, I think it was a little overstuffed in the sense that not all the Supermen got equal shares. I'd say Superboy probably gets the most in terms of arcs and character.
In terms of an arc, sure. I feel like he still gets good representation. Not so much an arc, but he does get a lot of time, and he does feel like he's an important part of the team.
Yeah.
And of course, Cyborg Superman arguably gets a lot as well, obviously, because he ends up being kind of the antagonist of the story.
Right. So it kind of leaves Eradicator just being like, I mean, I guess he's there too.
Yeah. I mean, he's got a purpose in the plot, but it does mean that his actual involvement in screen time are a lot less than the other three.
It's just he's far and away the least interesting here.
Yeah. To be honest, for me, it's all about Lois, though. For me, it's like Lois. It's Lois's movie. She's the one sort of digging into this stuff, and she eventually allies herself with others. And there was lots of details with her that I really liked. I liked that she cares enough that she's investigating anyway, and she's getting involved even though there's no Superman. And she's like distraught because Superman's not around. But I liked there's some fun stuff in the third act that kind of flips the scenarios a little bit. And there's one detail in particular that I really appreciated that felt like a fun little switcheroo to how things usually go. Do we go into spoilers? Are we ready to just say spoilers?
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear at this point. We enjoy it.
Yeah.
If you like the last one, you should definitely watch this one as the follow-up.
Yeah.
If you didn't watch the last one, go watch that first.
Yes. I think it's a solid conclusion to the last one, but it's definitely...
It's the weaker half, but it's still very enjoyable.
Spoilers. So the final fight, like the Justice League Watchtower's being launched, and like Cyborg Superman's taking control of it, and he's launching it into space, and they eventually hit they get out of the atmosphere, and we go into 0G, and Superman's back, but he's weak because he's not fully regenerated yet. I love the idea that not only is Lois like having to chip in and help in the fight, but she is literally flying as she's doing it because they're in 0G.
She's zooming around going, I'm getting to that sudden screen lever.
Yeah, and she even takes a bullet at one point when she does it.
And some heat vision.
And I was like, oh man, like I love that, like not only is she having to like help him, she's doing it by flying, which just completely flips the usual status quo. And obviously, that she eventually opens the shutters, and it's like, okay, sunlight's hitting them, right? It's over.
Now it's time to play.
Now it's Superman's time to be Superman, and that's cool. And but the MVP of the movie though is Becca.
Yeah.
Do you remember who Becca is?
She's the girlfriend, right?
Of the random dude who becomes the drone eradicator,
not
eradicator, the Cyborg Superman drone. I'm joking mainly, but I remember that scene that the in front of the statue, and Cyborg Superman like says, "Oh, anyone want to volunteer to become a superhero like me?" And he steps forward, and he gets like assimilated, Borg style. And Becca just looks distraught, and then there's like one scene after that of her like running into him in the street, and he's just like, are you okay, ma'am? Yeah, and he doesn't know who she is.
He ends it with, "You're welcome, citizen."
Yeah, and we see her with Bibbo later on in his bar, and I just, like, every time it cut back to her, I went, this is her story. This is the story of this woman who's lost her boyfriend to Cyborg Superman. And the ending's actually really sad with their story, because all the people who became Cyborg Superman's cronies all die. They're all dead at the end. There's bodies lying all over the ground.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty dark.
Do you know Joe, who probably I like maybe the most in this movie?
Mm-hmm.
Lex. Lex is great in this movie.
I knew you were going to say that. He's pretty good. He's pretty good. I like Lois more, but like I can see why you'd say that. I like that because the Justice League all get trapped. Darkseid, who's behind Cyborg Superman, arranges for like a portal to basically like take the Justice League away. and they're trapped on this like other planet somewhere, and Lex with a mother box actually brings them back, and it's like this weird moment for Lex where he's like, "Okay, I brought you back now. Do your job, damn it! It's chaos. There's chaos
Do you know what
happening."
I will say in terms of because there's a couple of bits of weird dialogue with the League specifically. Like, you know, with Batman in that bit, you know, they're like, "Oh, they're not stars," and they're like, "What are they?" And he just goes, "Hungry." I'm like, okay. And the other one that really bugged me, more, maybe is the line of dialogue that bugs me most in the entire movie, is so they're protecting the president. Yeah, they're protecting the president, and Superboy flies in, and he joins in on their comms, and they're like, "Hey, this is for League members only." He's like, "No, no, no. It's for the presidential bodyguard, and I'm part of that. So, you know, I'm here now." And then Barry's just like, "Can we wrap this up? You know, make sure this goes good, because if I'm late for dinner, Iris is going to kill me." I'm like, why are you dropping identity things when there's literally a random kid on your comm frequency?
That feels like an oversight more than anything else, rather than like
it came literally 30 seconds.
I know,
after
but
this. It really bothered me.
That feels like an oversight to me rather than like like the writer making a choice about like him revealing information. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it feels like he wanted to make the joke, regardless of the fact that it makes no sense that he would drop that line.
Yeah, I feel like Barry was kind of given the short straw in the League, because, you know, he's hiding behind someone on the other planet as well. Yeah, like he's like, "You know what? You know, I want to go home now." He's just, I'll hide behind here till we're safe.
I'll hide behind the Amazon. I believe it was Wonder Woman. I think
it was Wonder Woman. Yeah,
hiding behind. Yeah,
I'm just like, really?
Yeah, I mean, he gets some lines at least. There's like half the League are just kind of there visually, never say anything. Like Hawkman's there.
Hawkman's there. Yeah, he doesn't get a line. Green Lantern gets some lines.
Yeah, he gets a couple because it's Nathan Fillion. So
yeah. So he's got a couple. Yeah. Flash, obviously. Wonder Woman gets quite a bit.
Yeah, she has that nice scene with Lois because they're kind of mourning Clark's death, and she's like,
"Yeah, I love how it ends with ice cream, because that's Diana's thing."
I love how that's suddenly become Wonder Woman's thing, is that she really likes ice cream.
I'm okay with this,
just because of that one joke about her, like, "Oh, you should be very proud of this." That moment, which they put in the movie, and now this movie's got an ice cream thing. The ice cream is just
it was in the animated Wonder Woman movie as well, though.
It was, yeah, but I mean. That in the movie, it's like, no, that's the exact moment from the comic that they're taking. But now we're seeing evolutions of it where no, this is just our thing forever now.
I like the idea that Diana has ice cream in the way that Jean has Oreos or Chocos, as it should be.
Yes. So yeah, yeah, I thought it did a good job with Lex in that sense. He felt vicious, but he also did the right thing on a couple of occasions.
He's very much Lex. Like, no, I want to win, but I don't want the Earth to be destroyed.
Because he does leave his henchman, his lab guy, to get killed. Like, he does leave him in the room with all the...
and he is going to kill Superboy. He's just like, but there's like, do you know what? I've made my point. He's going to fall in line now.
The post-credit scene interesting, which setting up a future Justice League movie, I assume, with Lex on the team. Which obviously happened in the comics for a while in New 52, so they're clearly going to be doing something from there.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Because I forget that sometimes that this is kind of supposed to be a continuing universe.
Yeah, especially with this one. This one felt different. Like, some of them is very clear. It's like, okay, that's the next one.
I mean, if the rest of them feel more in line with this, then I'm okay with that. Like, great.
Yeah, if this can be the new benchmark, please.
Because it's worth mentioning, Justice League versus the Fatal Five is going to have Jessica Cruz in it. That is a huge step forward.
Is it?
Yeah, she's in there.
What's the next one? Because I know we've got a Wonder Woman one coming.
Bloodlines. We have Justice League versus Fatal Five, and we have something else. Why?
Hush 2-part.
Batman Hush. Yeah.
Yeah, we got Hush 2-part. I'm just trying to see what the next one is, because I actually don't know. I think Hush might be the next one by the look of this.
No, yeah.
I mean, at least Wikipedia has them in that order. It states Wonder Woman Bloodlines will be coming 2020. So we usually get 3 a year now, I think. So that would be this one, Hush Part 1, and Justice League Part 5.
I would expect Fatal 5 because there's like images appearing of it online. You can see like screenshots and stuff now. And the animation looks a bit more traditional Justice League animation.
Interesting. I've not seen anything of it. I know they announced all three of those at Comic-Con
Yeah.
last year.
No, it's not exactly like the Justice League animated series, but it looks the closest that it's been in a while.
Oh, that's cool.
So
I also, the costume designs aside, I do really like the animation in this movie. The fight scenes look fantastic.
the fight scenes were good. I don't know if I like the visual. Like I think like Superman, for example, still has the big traps and stuff like that. Look a
Yeah,
bit comical.
yeah, that's fair.
And I don't mean that in a good way, because obviously, oh, it's like a comic book, so you like it. No. I mean comical in an absurd way.
Mm.
But I mean that's fine. That's whatever it is.
I do think it has a great flow for action though.
No, the action's typically pretty good. I found myself fighting the fight in the fortress. I found myself fighting the fight in the. I mean, the best fight is probably on the watchtower at the end. That's probably the one, because all the emotions in that fight as well.
In the emotion, in terms of the visuals, I really like the League down on the Earth taking on the drone people.
Okay.
I think that stuff looks visually really good.
Obviously, the other big fight you've got is when all the Supermen kind of fight each other at Lexi's gala.
Yeah, yeah. That was pretty good too, to be fair.
Yeah. Well, that was at the showcase. I was like, okay, here's how they're all different. Here's like how Steel
Yeah.
fights versus how Superboy fights, and so on. And it was also good for Lois, because Lois was investigating. She was getting information. She was doing her thing.
I really like the moment where Lois goes to Steele's apartment. She's like, "Look, I got a lead," and he's like, "What are you talking about?" She goes, I know you're Steele, right? Like, come on."
Yeah. And then she's like, look, I'm not really good with this whole secret identity thing. If you're not fooling me, you're not doing very well. And I'm like, yeah, but to be fair, now you have experience, and I think that lends for a lot.
It helps, but either way, I just thought it was funny.
Nah, that was cool. Yeah, no, I like them working together. Like I said, my favorite part of this movie is probably that Lois is the protagonist. I like that it's a Lois Lane movie first and foremost.
I do like that. Don't get me wrong. I think that stuff is really strong.
I think it makes a lot of sense to do that.
Yeah, and then at the end when Wonder Woman's phoning Clark, it was the emergency, and she's like, "Oh yeah, tell Lois, Friday's good."
And it's like, what?
And Clark's like, "What the hell's going on here? What did I miss?"
Yeah. You see on TV as well that they've got Martian Manhunter impersonating Superman, so that Clark and Superman can be together at the same time. Just to dispel any weird rumors that they happen to come back at the same time.
Yeah.
As you do, which is fair. I don't think they needed to address that, but I mean, it's fine that they did.
I'm glad they did, because otherwise, if someone mentions it, it's irritating, right? But I mean, sure, whatever.
You let it go. It's one of those things.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. Actually, one of the
is.
jokes that I really liked is Steele's giving someone shit. It's like, oh, you can't just slap a logo on your chest and call yourself a hero. And
Yeah. It was put on a cape and be a hero.
yeah, and then he sort of looks down at himself and goes, "You know what I mean? Shut up."
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. That was good too.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, generally it's pretty fun. Like I don't really have a whole lot of complaints. Bizarrely, like I feel like it
doesn't quite hit the heights of the last one.
It doesn't hit the heights of the last one, but it gets relatively close. Like it does feel like a natural sequel to it, if that makes sense.
It does. I think it's just a little bit too much going. Like with Superboy, I really like his attitude, I really like his character. Doing the whole Lex is actually your parent as well. Might have been a bit too much for this movie. I don't know if it needed it.
Do you think that actually doing 3 movies instead of 2, like keep the first one as it is, because one of the things that's great about the first one is that it is quite simple and streamlined.
Yeah.
Do you think splitting this over 2 movies would have benefited? And if so, what would be the breaking point? What would be the story of the first one versus the story of the second one?
I think the first one is just the Supermen trying to deal with it. I think you end with Clark coming back.
That's your ending moment. So
that's your ending.
So the second movie is really just the last like half an hour of this then.
What? The second movie? No. So this is the second movie is most of this movie, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Hour
So the third movie, the second part of this 2-parter of this one.
Yeah, with the third part, I think you play more. You spend a bit more time with Superman versus Cyborg Superman rather than just jumping straight to the punching.
Okay.
I think that, and then you can you could do the stuff with Superboy. You can flesh out the four Supermen a little bit more in that second movie, and make them all feel a bit more developed. So by the time that Cyborg Superman's turning entirely, it's it's a much bigger deal.
Hmm.
I think you just play this one with Lex as the antagonist a bit more. Play that up, that angle of, oh, he's doing the shady shit. He's trying to buy on the public and do all that sort of stuff. I don't know. It's not perfect in my head. I'm coming up with this on the fly.
Yeah. I was thinking about it as I was watching it because in the comics it's kind of split into like 3 or 4 trades typically, and you'll have Funeral for a Friend, World Without a Superman, and then Reign of the Supermen. And I was just wondering, like, do you do? I mean, it kind of gets over a lot of that by just skipping ahead in time. It cuts like it's been months since the death of Superman,
which is fine. It's a reasonable approach.
Yeah, but yeah, do you benefit from spreading it a little bit? I don't know if you do. It's kind of tough. It does feel like there's more in it. Like compared to the first one, I think one of the big advantages the first one has is that it is so simple and streamlined.
Yeah, do you know what it is? I don't know if this needs a whole extra movie, but it definitely needs an extra half hour.
Sure, yeah, it should have maybe been 2 hours. Because it's funny. I think I'd critique the comic Death of Superman for being too simple. I think the movie adds in the story with Lois, and that adds the emotional weight to it, and that makes it work. Whereas the comic is just kind of punchy until eventually death.
Yeah, I think if in my scenario of splitting the 2 movies, I think you really play up Lois investigating who these Supermen are. Is Clark out there?
Yeah.
I think you play up that angle a lot more because it's kind of there a little bit, but it's there's not much time devoted to it here.
I think the end of movie 2, if you split this into 2 movies, right? So this is movies 2 and 3. At the end of movie 2, I would probably end it earlier than you said. I'd probably end it with just the reveal that Cyborg Superman's working for Darkseid, and like you say, have Lois be investigating them, and maybe she confronts and finally her and Steel become aware of each other at the end of the movie, kind of thing. Like that's kind of you have her investigating them longer throughout the film, and that's where you kind of end it there.
Yeah, you play it more of the mystery angle.
Because I like the idea of Superman waking up in the middle of the when he's needed, right? That's kind of what happens here.
Yeah.
And I think that element does work. It's like no. Things are going bad. They need him. The world needs him badly right now. The Justice League aren't even around. And that's good. So
we get it. I do like this as much as we're kind of picking apart these flaws and the pacing.
I like this way more than most of the animated movies we've gotten recently. I like this way more than Gotham by Gaslight. I like this way more than Suicide Squad Hell to Pay. I like this way more than what else did we get? Batman Ninja.
No competition. Yeah, no competition. Yeah. I like these more. The only one that I've liked more than this pair in recent years was the 66 one. Whatever that first one was.
Yeah, which I'm not a fan of the 60s Batman, so I've never seen that.
That first one was fantastic.
Yeah. So and it's, even if you're including all 10 plus years of the animated DC movies, this is still maybe top 5.
I'd have to think about it. It might be.
Because I'm thinking the best ones are Death of Superman, Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah. Gods and Monsters I really like that.
Haven't seen that one, so I can't comment on it. But
I really like Assault on Arkham.
I don't know if I'd put that top 5. I'd probably put Superman vs the Elite in the top 5, and Under the Red Hood, and then I'd put Reign of the Supermen. So that'd probably be the top 5 for me. Not necessarily in that order, but
that's fair. I think it maybe just doesn't quite make my top 5. This one, Death definitely does, but
Death's
Rainn...
number 1 or 2. Like Death's.
Yeah, it's up there with. I mean, Dark Knight Returns probably just tops it.
I'd have to watch that again and then decide between the two. But
they're basically... I mean, going on memory, but they're clearly 1 and 2.
They're fighting for the top spot. Yeah. The only other one that not top 5, but I think if 6 and 7, I think you're looking at maybe the Teen Titans Judas Contract, maybe, because that was pretty.
That was pretty good. I think it's still a bit middle of the road. I mean, I personally quite like Flashpoint Paradox. I think it did a really smart adaptation of that.
I don't really remember that. I watched it, and obviously I know the story from the comic. I don't remember the movie leaving that much of an impression.
No, fair enough.
It's kind of how I feel about Throne of Atlantis and some of the other ones, where they're just kind of middle of the road.
Yeah, Throne of Atlantis is fine. There's nothing wrong with
It's
it.
fine, but it's not particularly great.
Obviously, your low end is your Killing Joke, your Batman and Harley Quinn.
Mm-hmm.
Suicide Squad Hell to Pay is probably down there, frankly. Those are definitely the low end. There's a lot of real just mid tier though, right? Like so, yeah. I mean, they're all kind of blend together in the middle. Like they're okay.
And there's been a lot of mid tier recently. Lot
There
of
has.
mid to low tier recently.
Yeah, this is definitely amongst the best grouping. Even just this second one on its own is definitely among that top tier.
It's left me hopeful that these next batch of 3 or 4 can.
Yeah, I can see Hush as an anime, as a 2-part movie being really quite good.
Yeah, it depends though. It can go either way.
Yeah,
it really can. Yeah, and I'm hoping this next Justice League's good, and hopefully Wonder Woman's good. But yeah, I would love for them to do like solo movies for other characters again. I feel like they're in this weird thing where Batman, Superman, and Justice League sells, and I guess because of the Wonder Woman movie success, we can do Wonder Woman movies again.
Yeah,
but like, can we do some solo Flash, Green Lantern, and like other characters?
I would like. I mean, we got 3 announced at Comic-Con last year. Maybe we'll get another couple announced again.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get a Batman or Superman, the Justice League movie announced.
I mean, maybe, yeah.
Well, I say that we get Suicide Squad occasionally as well, I suppose. But
yeah, I've had a couple of those now because Assault on Arkham I would count as a Suicide Squad movie.
Yes,
it has the Batman name, but it's a Suicide Squad movie.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at that versus Fatal 5, and Kevin Conroy's back in this one.
Good.
Which I did not know, and I'm kind of excited.
No, that's good. That's good. But yeah, really, Superman's pretty good. I still think this is one of the best animated movies they've done out of the last like 10 years or so of them.
Yeah, it's up there.
So I mean, take that for what you will. If because we said this about Death of Superman, if you had grown tired of the DC animated movies, Death of Superman is one that'll surprise you and make you rethink the potential quality of them.
It definitely reinvigorated my passion for okay, these have potential.
Yeah, and I think this one does not diminish that. It just continues it. It doesn't like surprise you again. It just continues it in a solid enough fashion and leaves you happy enough.
Definitely
with the result. Hopefully the next few can kind of do that as well. So I suppose we should rate the movie.
I'm gonna go with a 7.5. It's not quite great. It's not quite there, but it's very good.
Yeah. I'll agree with the 7.5. I kind of want to give it an 8. I might, like, when I rewatch it, perhaps I might.
This is one that if I watch it back to back with Death of Superman, that might contextually drag it up a bit, just like as a whole entity.
I can see that. Also, note is the final moment, because obviously he's in the black suit when he first comes back. You don't see him in his like proper suit until the last couple of minutes. But he's with Lois and he has to run off. And he runs down the alley, rips open his shirt, he flies into the sky. The final shot is basically the final shot of Superman in the movie. He's flying over the earth. They intentionally did that shot, which was a neat touch.
There's a lot of nice referencing in this movie, which more so than I expect from these animated films, actually.
Yeah, there is. Superboy made like a really specific reference at one point. Oh, what was it? Oh, that's going to bug me now.
Was this when he was in the car?
Possibly. He made a really specific reference that made me go, wait, what?
Yeah.
I can't remember it now, though. Damn it. But there was a really specific reference from Superboy at one point. But hey-ho.
I'll buy it.
Hey-ho. So yeah, that's Rainn and the Supermen. Let us know what you thought of it in the comments below. Like and subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the channel, head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv and you can do that over there for as little as $1 per month. If you enjoyed this and you like hearing us talk about Superman and comic book stuff, we do have various comic book related podcasts that you can go and check out. We have a DC Comics podcast called Comics from the Multiverse, where we talk about new DC comics every week. We have Television from the Multiverse, where we talk about DC TV shows every week. We also have Elsewhere in the Multiverse, which is non-DC, that's Marvel, your indie books and that kind of thing, where we talk about those comics every week. So go check out those. They're all on YouTube. They'll have their own audio feeds as well on your podcast apps. go have a look-see. But that is us, so thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching movies, guys, and we'll see you next time.